everyone. I'm your host, comedian, magician, Danny Whitson. But it's all tricks aside, because tonight we're turning the paranormal into the normal. Join me as we explore the gray areas of reality. We're going to talk all things paranormal, UFOs, ghosts, cryptids, and aliens, and see how it's all connected. This podcast is brought to you by the Experiencer Support Association, and we are live. So if you're an experiencer yourself, or you're just plain nosy, be sure to send me your question and subscribe to the podcast. Now, get ready, because it's going to get deep. No, really, we're going to go way out there, because this is Beyond the Tinfoil Hat. What's happening, paranormal junkies? Welcome to Beyond the Tinfoil Hat, and I'm your host, Danny Whitson. Guys, we are broadcasting live from the United Public Radio Network and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network in 105.3 FM on the Gulf Coast and 107.7 in New Orleans. Guys, we got a fantastic show lined up, like always. We always got a fantastic show with awesome guests, but tonight we got a very special guest. But before we get to that, I want to let you guys know, I don't know if you guys have been following a little bit, but I'm a little excited. It looks like the UFO Congress hearings are going to still happen November 13th. So when hopefully we'll get some good info, some new whistleblowers, some new information. I don't know if you guys have been following it, but I will say this time, if they do it, hey, we need some really good stuff. Okay. We need to make some, we need to get some real news this time. So definitely following that right now. November 13th, the Congress, the UAP hearings will be happening. So I'm excited about that. If you guys have not done so, I want to say head over to Patreon at Heed the World, make a little donation, show the podcast some love. We could definitely use it. In return, you get access to some very cool articles. So be sure to check us out there. I want to look right over in the chat, and I'm excited already. Yes, we got the $6 million man is back with us. First one up in there. We got Live Light like always. Shout out to Lisa and anybody else. We got Lisa, 6 million, and Live Light like always. Thank you guys for hopping in there. Get your questions revved up, because tonight's guest, not only is she just a guest, but she's also one of our own, okay? She's a very experienced UFO and paranormal investigator, and right now she's kind of specializing because she's part of the Tessa family, and her little specialization is in the quantum contact program. So if you guys would, let's show some love for tonight's guest, our very own Jillian Leonard.
Hi, how are you?
What's happening, Jill? How you doing?
Good, you?
Doing good. Well, I tell you what, like I said, I gave you a quick brief intro, but if you don't mind, will you kind of let the viewers and guests know a little more about yourself?
Yeah, well, I have a group, CE5 New Brunswick, so my thing is basically initiated contact within the contact field with ETs, UFOs. We go out in groups, do that. Paranormal investigating, like I do a whole bunch of stuff within the field. But yeah, right now it's mostly, contact work within groups.
Well, see, what's so cool is and you're busy too, girl. She stays busy. And I mean, I've seen some of the videos and stuff that you've shared, and I mean, you guys get out there, and it also seems like you have fun too while doing this, what I'm saying?
Sure. Yeah.
So, but I tell you what now, so how long has this kind of been your shtick as far as interest?
The paranormal investigating, probably 15 years. The UFO stuff since 2017. So I wasn't into the ET stuff for quite a while, and then something happened in 2017 that just flipped a switch, and I got into the ETs, the UFOs, and yeah, that's where I prefer to be now.
See, that's interesting, because that's how it was kind of for me, I I went through, like, I had some paranormal experiences as a kid, and then I went through this whole where I don't believe in anything, and it is what it is, and there's nothing out there, yada yada yada, to coming around to where I do believe in the spiritual realm. And then it was later on that I got onto the the UFO, the interdimensional beings, whatever they may be. I got into that. I got, it's funny how it kind of comes around and you're like, holy crap, I mean, and now, I'm kind of on the part to where it's all connected,
Right.
So
right. Did you not see that before? Like, is that something you just discovered through?
No, it was one of those things to where you like to keep your crap separated. You're like, I want
Right.
ghost over here, I want Bigfoot over here. So you don't want to mix your peas and your potatoes together. And I don't know what it was like that, but but then when you kind of, there's times even like now when you see a paranormal video, like, you'll see something happen, or there's a voice or something going on, and it makes you wonder, I mean, is this just the interdimensional beings making contact with you, them making contact with you in other ways, not so much your great uncle, Fester.
Right.
Because I mean, when you think about it too, think about it on this level too, is what I tell people. What seems to suck worse? Imagine dying and hanging out in a Walmart for eternity. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This Walmart's haunted. Wow, that would really suck. Or if there was just some other type of interdimensional being trying to make contact with you in another way, and you interpret it as a ghost.
Right. And I think that's the thing too, like with the, with the ghosts and the ETs, I don't think there are so many earthbound spirits as people like to think. You know what I mean? Like, I think a lot of it is other stuff lurking around, and
I do too. I think a lot of it, I think it's connected in that way. And it's not, I'm not dismissing spirits or a spiritual world either, but I think, I kind of believe, I go on the, like the multi, you've heard, you've seen me put this in the chat before, how deep this can get, but like the multi-universe, the multiverse type theory,
yeah.
the way, there's a different version of us that exists in every person who's ever met us.
Yeah.
So, there's, and everything is created through consciousness first. Everything starts here. This is where everything begins. The computer, this microphone, everything started up in somebody's head first. Someone's conscious. So when you think about that, I think like maybe when we do leave this reality, we exist in another one, and another one, and another one, and another one. So, and even when you look in like and you can call it interdimension if you want to, but, and so do other beings, not just us. So I think that's how it's kind of connected without going too deep into the wormhole. But we know, Jill, you're a fan of wormholes. So rabbit holes, not wormholes, but rabbit holes.
I live down a rabbit hole. I'm never out of it.
Well, I'll tell you what, let's do this, because you did mention your experience, and you said, it wasn't until you had an experience. So do you mind sharing your experience with us?
Yeah. Well, in 2017, I won't go into the details of how it happened, but I had what's called a Kundalini awakening. So basically it's almost like a pocket of energy that sits at the base of your spine, and it can be activated through different methods. And what happens is it comes up your spine and it basically blows open your chakras. So that happened to me. And right after that, like, it was like a switch. I mean, after the Kundalini, I was tapping into the spirit realm. I was, doing mediumship without understanding what mediumship was. I was seeing energy, started seeing auras, seeing ETs when I meditate, spirits.
So it was like, I mean, it was just something. So, I mean, without leading up to, but it wasn't something you was expecting, though. It was just
no. I had no idea what it was. It took me weeks to find out, like, to find information about what had happened. Like, it was so crazy. But when I did, like, everything lined up to what it was. But yeah, that's intense. I mean, people, you know, you hear people going and doing Kundalini yoga for their whole lives, trying to get this activated. And for me, it was just out of nowhere. No idea what it was, nothing. So,
And see, you know, that's something that I can buy into, you know, is I've always been familiar with the Kundalini rising thing, you know, and it wasn't until I'm not somebody who meditates, like never ever do it. I'm not knocking it, but I'm just saying I don't meditate. But I did one time though. I meditated and not just one time, but I don't know, I was into it for like 2 weeks or something. I don't know. But I do remember this, and it like freaked me out big time. Okay. So I was like in a deep meditation, and I had gotten so deep that I had like it was almost like a sense of an acid trip or a mushroom trip.
okay.
But I didn't take any psychedelics.
Right.
It felt like my mind was leaving my body.
Okay.
And
like expanding, like getting bigger, or actually leaving your body?
I was like out of my body.
Okay.
And but it scared me. And this is why it scared me. It chickened me out so bad, because it's almost like if you're floating down a river and you don't have anything to reach to grab onto,
right?
You know, you might freak out a little bit, you know?
Oh, for sure. Especially if you don't know what's going on.
Exactly. So, so I mean, it was so comforting, so calm, so chill. And then it started to happen. And then I was like, oh God, wait a minute. Because I'm not in control. I'm just kind of drifting wherever the heck something's taking me. And then I snapped out of it. So, but I made myself snap out of it. But I just thought that was really interesting. So I was like, you know, the whole Kundalini rising thing up the spine, all the way up until, you know, I could totally see that. Oh, but here's big jibber jabber Danny. Shut up, Danny. We got a question from, that's right, the questionnaire, the GOAT, ladies and gentlemen, Live Light. Here we go. Question. Hello, Jillian. Have you had an ET personal experience?
I have. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's hear it.
Actually, you want me to tell the story?
Yes, I want to hear it.
So we have here in Moncton, we have a crystal shop called Mystic Moons. And they have put an advertisement. I thought it was for a meeting. And it was just, you know, to talk about your cosmic origins and everything. So I showed up there, and I went into this room, and the whole room, like the whole floor, was a huge crystal grid. So immediately I was like, oh my God, what am I doing? And like they had us sit down and do a meditation. And it was a channeler, and she was a Reiki practitioner. So she was basically channeling ETs through this, I want to call it like a ritual or a ceremony. And also doing like almost like emergency Reiki on us. It was so weird. And then when that was done, I was leaving, and as soon as I left that building, I could see auras. So the trees, like on the way home, I could see auras all around the trees. That was crazy. That blew my mind in itself. And then I got home. My daughter was at my mom's, and I was in the kitchen. I'm just looking over there now. Yeah, I was in the kitchen, and all of a sudden, like, there was pixelation in the air, almost like a computer or snow on a TV. And it was it black, red, and gray, and it was almost like a substance in the air. And I'm looking around, and I decided to sleep in the living room for whatever reason. So I came over here, and then as I was walking into the living room, everything went silent. Like, it was, the way I describe it, it was like a deafening silence. I couldn't hear the fridge. I couldn't hear like the background noise of anything. It was like I went deaf. And I sat down on the couch, and right behind me, where Skinny Bob is, these three, like, it was three solid black, they looked like ETs. They looked like what you would call like a typical gray ET. And they were like 2-dimensional, flat against the wall, and I'm staring at these 3 ETs like floating against my wall. And as I'm looking at them, all 3 of them came forward, and as they came forward, they gained density. So into like a 3D form, like you or I, like people standing there. And they were floating off the ground, I want to say like 3 feet, probably 2 or 3 feet. And as they were floating there, I saw that they were holding hands. And this lasted, I mean, it felt like it lasted a long time, but I want to say 1 or 2 minutes. And then they just dissipated. And I'd never seen them again.
That is crazy. Now, how long ago was this?
2017.
2017.
June. Yeah.
So, and now just to clarify, I do just want to clarify, you were, dead sober type of thing. I mean, you didn't.
Yeah. Nothing. Gotcha. Didn't take any acid. Nothing.
No acid. No shrooms.
No.
So no deep meditating before.
No, just at the crystal shop, but. Yeah, I mean, that was obviously the trigger for it. What's that?
And did you have any, whenever you experienced that, did you have fear, or was it comforting, or?
I just sat there and I was like, oh my God, I'm staring at it, or at them. Like my heart was going, and in the moment I was like, okay, I'm seeing this. Like I was, rationalizing in my brain that this was happening in front of me because I'm not hallucinating. But I wasn't scared. Like they dissipated and I went to bed. I don't know. I don't have fear.
Liv's got another good question here. Pop that question up real quick, Chris. Did you sense a message from them?
Not at the time. I did have a regression the next year in 2018, quantum healing hypnosis technique, QHHT. So during those regressions, basically, like you're under for 2 hours, like you're under in a hypnosis for a couple hours. And for a couple hours before the session, you go over like questions and subjects that you want brought out from the session. So those 3 beings, I wanted some more information about it. So I did get to interact with them during that QHHT. I didn't get a whole...
Is this like a hypnosis thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Like, that show we were watching?
Yes.
Just like that, except not as creepy.
So you went under, and was there more that you remembered, or was there... What kind of came out of that?
It was a 2-hour session, so a lot of it had nothing to do with those beings. But when I did interact with them, basically, like when you're under that hypnosis, like during that regression, you're other places. So during that part, I was like in a forest, and I saw this spaceship in a clearing in the forest, and there were 2 of those beings there outside of the ship. I didn't see the 3rd one. But during the regression, like they were communicating with me, but I couldn't hear them. So they almost had to do charades. Like they had to like point at different parts of their bodies. And
oh, wow.
Yeah.
That is so. Okay, we got another question for Liv's just cranking them out tonight. Liv's putting you guys to shame, by the way. All right. So we need some. Come on, $6 Million Man, where you at? Here we go. Is Mokton on a lay? What am I? I'm gonna jack this up. Is what I'm gonna jack this question up. But is it?
Is Mokton a ley line energy grid? I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't think so. Like it's not. If anything was around here, it'd be the next province over in Halifax, Nova Scotia. But here,
this is Canadian talk. I'm thinking, right?
Yeah. But here in particular, like I think it's just me.
Dumb guy in the States here. Sorry, I apologize. We got Live Light. Oh, I'm not sure, but how Live? What does that mean?
QHHT. That's the regression.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Sorry. How has it changed your perception? How has it changed your perceptions? Another good question, though. Yes.
Well, I've had 3 of them. My perceptions, it's just kind of given me more information as to, my role here, my role on this earth and this incarnation, and it's done a lot for me. The thing with regressions is that it kind of like works in the same part of your brain as when you dream. So when you're out of the regression, like for me in particular, I might retain 5 to 10% of the information from the session. Like I have to go back and listen to it and take notes in order to get the information. It's my perception like of ETs and contact in general. It's changed my perception in the sense that it's given me more information that I believe to be true about, upcoming contact and everybody's roles, experiencers' roles, and yeah, it's done a lot.
What's your opinion on that? Do you think, we're going to, about contact? Because we did an episode just a few weeks back where I found out that Mark Zuckerberg is in charge of a making contact program, and
I remember you mentioning that. Yeah,
I thought that was so strange.
What was the question? Like, what do I?
We did got another question, Chris. Let's pop this question up here. We got the $6 Million Man.
Hello, my new friend.
Hey, girl, what was your biggest revelation when waking up from the Matrix? Oh, he's talking about. I get it. I totally get that. I woke up from the Matrix too.
I think for me it was just, cluing into the fact that we really can't pick up on much around us. When I started like communicating with spirits and with the other side, just how, like, I think the biggest thing for me was becoming aware that when you're like with mediumship, for example, if the spirits are aware that you can communicate with them, they're on you.
Yes.
Like you're, it's not like they're floating around and they're not aware, who can and can't pick up on them. So when I started picking up, I had to do a lot of work in my home at one point. Like, because I wasn't, I didn't know to close certain things or open certain things a certain way. So there was one point where there was just a whole lot of stuff going on in my house.
It's a little Whoopi Goldberg-ish and Patrick's ghost. It's a little bit because
oh, it's more than that. Yeah.
I mean, it's like, I don't want you to mess with me today. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's kind of like almost they know. Well, no, now. So
right.
You're gonna learn today, Danny. You're gonna learn today. So I get some of that mess sometimes. But here's we got Live Light. She says, do you consider yourself a light worker? What psychic model that blah, 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 do you specialize in? There we go. Model latties.
So a light worker, like, yeah, I do consider myself a light worker. In a certain sense, but my stuff, it's all ET oriented. I'm not like of the light and love, community or anything. My thing, I don't know, like I'm a light worker, but I don't call myself that. Like I'd rather, I don't know, an experiencer, a person, I don't know.
My thing is, since I've opened my eyes and my ears is, and I don't mean this in an insulting way at all, but my conclusion right now is that I don't know
right.
anything.
Right. And you know what? That's not a bad place to be.
So,
because,
these people who walk around and they think they know the answers to, it's just, no, how can you?
No.
But it's kind of a fun place, isn't it?
It is. And that's like, it's a big red flag to me. If someone comes up to me and says they had the answers to any of this stuff, I can't. Like, it's
it's just,
no one knows. No one knows.
Yeah, it's fun though, and it's
yeah.
kind of, it's almost like a relief to know that no one knows. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
We got another $6 million man said, "How did you handle the naysayers when you came out, so to speak?" That's a good question.
I haven't come across very many.
Which, that's interesting. I mean, like, I find more people are interested in the topic these days than they try to shun it and make fun of it.
Right.
I think making fun of this topic is hack now. I'm a comic by trade, and it's not something that you really make fun of. I think there's more and more people who actually are open-minded and believe it. They just don't have their windows. They're not looking like we are. And once you start looking, you start seeing. So,
for sure.
But yeah, if anybody wants to have a debate, send them my way, $6 million man, on the existence of this. I will destroy them. So,
well, like with me, I think it's just the way it's presented too. Like it's it's with this stuff, it's one or the other. Like you're either making sense and you're telling your stories the way that you can, or you're standing like you're on the corner preaching on a street. You know what I mean? Like,
I know exactly what you're saying. Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't want to be the preachy guy because I don't like that. And I kind of like people to kind of, as you get it was funny here. One of my best friends, who's always been open-minded, but he didn't pay attention the way we do. And whenever, the UAPs were being reported in the media here, and they couldn't deny some of these things. And he called me up and he's like, "Danny, is this really happening, dude?" I was like, "Yeah, it's crazy, but yeah, we've got one more quick question before we have to cut to the break. By Live Light again. You can call yourself an enhanced and aware humanoid energetic spirit.
Perfect.
You receive messages from interdimensional beings.
Right.
I think you do.
I do. Is that a question? Like, do I? Oh, yeah, for sure. For sure. Because I've studied mediumship professionally for 5 years. The first real big, well, there's been like a lot of really big experiences that I've had, but the way I am with spirits, like I don't walk around and pick up on everything. And if a spirit wants to contact me and they want me to pay attention, they have to really, really shove it in my face.
Yeah. And
give me evidence. And like, how much time do we have? 1 minute?
Well, actually, we've got about a minute till break, but what we can do is if, when we come back from the break, if maybe you want to share some of the things that they have sent you, or that they've crammed in your face, and you're like, okay, I can't deny this. I've got to pay attention now. And because I would love to hear some of those.
I've got good stories. Yeah.
I'm all about stories. I love hearing the stories, other people's experiences and stuff. I love to hear that. But yeah, I'm with you 100%. I think, some of these things, once they know that you're paying attention, it's it's on.
It's like a floodgate. Yeah,
it is, and you start seeing a lot. Yeah. But I tell you what, Jill, as soon as we come back, I want to hear one of those stories. Guys, hang tight. We'll be right back with Jillian Leonard here from Tessa, and after these messages.
Have you ever wondered, or maybe just thought to yourself, if there were others just like you? You know, people with extraordinary abilities, psychogenic advancement, and perhaps unique intuitions. Maybe you just wondered if there were other people who experienced unimaginable, unexplained, or even unusual and paranormal events. Are there people who have more questions, more fears than answers? Well, you're not alone. You've never been alone. We believe you. Sign up for EA today.
Business. It's your property.
Your assets are worth protecting. Blacklight Investigative and Surveillance Services specializes in patrolling and inspecting residential or commercial property against fire, theft, vandalism, terrorism, and illegal activity. People and buildings are monitored to prevent crime. Keep your property, your people, and your assets safe from threat. Our elite staff are dual licensed private investigators and security guards. Blacklight Investigative and Surveillance Services.
Go to blacklightiss.com.
All right, guys, we are back with Jillian Leonard here from Tessa. And I think, Jill, we were just getting ready to have you tell one of your experiences, as you know. So let's hear it.
Yeah, so I'll start like with the QHHT. Dolores Cannon, she founded that type of regression method, the quantum healing hypnosis technique. She wrote 18 books on contact and reincarnation and, you know, lives off planet. So she died 2014. So when I woke up to this stuff, I got into some of her work, and I was going to at one point take the course to become a regression therapist for the QHHT. And I was telling my friends about it for like 2 weeks, and I was telling them she was from, I think, South Carolina or something, North Carolina or South Carolina. Cool. And like I said, that had been 2 weeks of me, you know, telling my friends and my family that I was going to take this course, blah, 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 telling them about Dolores. And then one night I was at home and I was going to do a meditation, and I had been connecting with her in spirit for quite some time by that point. And when I was laying down and I was fully in that meditation, in my ear, like from the outside, and her voice, I heard Missouri. So I shot up in the bed and I was like, oh my God, I've got to Google, like, if it says she's from Missouri, I'm going to die. And sure enough, she's from Missouri.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is interesting.
But that's
And
what I
it's-
mean. Like, there,
it's
a lot of
pronounced-
my experiences are major, like, yeah.
It's and also it's pronounced Missouri. So
Is it really?
no, I'm just saying that's how people in Missouri will say. People in Missouri will be like Missouri. It's Missouri. So
I'll tell them about me.
yeah. All right. $6 million man. This is for you both. Ooh. What's been your craziest CE5 experience? So
I think with me, it didn't happen to me. It happened to some friends of mine after we did an event in where was it? Fort Beausejour in New Brunswick. They had seen, like, it's basically like an open land with all these old forts that they used to do battles in. And when they were leaving, my friend Mario was looking over at some of the forts, and he saw, I think it was a red light or a big orange light or something, like, within the forts. So he went, and this is, 1 o'clock in the morning, midnight, no one's there. I don't think there was power at all. And he said he went to check it out and couldn't find anything. Some people have had experiences seeing a craft or anomalies doing our CE5s. I haven't, that I can pinpoint. I've seen some weird stuff, but nothing that I could, like, definitively, say that was a UFO or whatnot. But last year, we were in Kushabakwak National Park, and let me see if I can remember this right. We were sitting right beside the forest, and Mario had played the crop circle tones, and nothing had happened. And then we were kind of doing, like, our sky watch, and then some of us could hear, like, the tones being played back to us from the forest beside us. So that was weird.
see, I've heard actually a similar story, something like that before. But with me, this is something too that I haven't experimented with a whole lot, but it's different now because, like, my first UFO experience, seeing something, and it's because my blinds were open, everything was open, and I happened to look up and I saw the cylinder shape flying, in the sky, and then I looked around and I was like, why is no one else see? You guys see this? The other cars, I was driving alone, but I was looking, and I was like, this is crazy. And I looked up and I tried to get a picture of it. But of course, it turned into one of those Bigfoot photos. It was just a blurry picture of the dash, but then it was gone. It was like there, boom, and it's gone. But here's the other thing, though. I will say that I think there's something, and I always used to think this was BS. I always used to, when the first time I saw this, I thought, get out of here. You're not making these things show up in the sky through your mind.
With the CE5.
Yeah. But you know what? I mean, the first time you hear stuff like that, you're like, oh get out of here.
For sure. It sounds like a cult.
And exactly. Until it kind of happens. So
yeah.
I can remember, I'm on the road, a lot, and I remember just thinking one time, like, man, I would like to see this. I would like to see this. I would like to see something, and I remember looking up, and sure enough, I saw it. So it's almost like you manifest it. There's something going on there consciously, and you've heard those stories about how, I'm not jumping on no one's fan club or anything. I'm not doing that. But there has been people who claim that they can go out and they can concentrate concentrate and make contact with interdimensional beings. And they show up, and you see UAPs flying around the sky, they show up just for you. And like I said, I always used to kind of think that was, garbage until it kind of happened.
Right. Oh, did that happen to you?
Well, sort of. Like I said, I was in the car And
Okay, with that,
both
yeah.
times it's always been in the car both times. So,
Yeah.
but I wasn't out in the field or anything, but it's always been like, and then I see it and I'm like, oh, there it is, So it's and it's not your imagination. It's something that you can, and it's almost like I knew if I went somewhere and really maybe tried really hard, it's like what would happen,
Right. Right.
It's like
To
you kind of
actually do, yeah. To put the effort into it.
Yeah, to put the effort into it.
And that's the thing too, like, with CE5 or any contact work, like within the consciousness aspect, you can do it alone or you can do it with a group. Like, you can be driving along. That's when I connect big time, is when I'm driving. But the thing with doing it in a group, like with other people, it's a good idea. Like, it's, I have a whole provincial CE5 group, but say, for example, you have 5 people or 10 people. If there's one person that either, has negative intentions, or there's the chance that if something happened, it would cause like a deep trauma, chances are nothing's going to happen for the group. So you have to be very, very particular about, who you're doing it with, why they're doing it. I'm really big on the why. But yeah, if we're going and doing it by yourself or with one or other 2 people, you can see a lot. Like, it's crazy what you can pull in. Yeah.
I tell you what, hey, we got another question here from $6 Million Man. Let's pop his up there first, Chris. There you go. That's Too Nice to Be Mean, Chris Green, ladies and gentlemen, there in the background. There you go. Let's see. $6 Million Man said, how can you decipher the difference between the real thing and the possibly your imagination because you want to see it? That is such a great question. And coming and let you guys know a little bit of something about me is I come from a world to where I studied deceiving people for 25 years. I'm a magician too. I'm a comedy magician, comedian/magician. So, those are things that, and let you know, the secret magicians don't believe in anything fun. I'm like I'm the black sheep, but the pareidolia is where you see faces and everything, which we are as human beings. That is something in our nature to do because it brings familiarity, makes us recognize things, makes safe comfort kind of things. That's something that we do. Now, here's the difference: is it's not like for me. It's one of these weird. It's hard to explain for me because it's not so. It is totally different because there's times I've looked at something and I've had a bias and I've wanted to see this or wanted to see that, and yeah, you absolutely. If you want to see something bad enough, you're going to tell yourself that's what it is, But the difference is the first time I approached this as like a skeptic, like, is this? Because, like I said, the first time I heard about this kind of stuff, I thought this is complete garbage. This can't be real.
And rightfully so.
And so I went into it and I was like, okay, I'm looking now. And then it happens. And then that's whenever that's whenever you feel like, oh, okay. So that's a difference. And now, though, it's almost like it's something to where if I go to McDonald's, I'm going to expect to see a Big Mac. You know what I mean? I know it's there. Yeah. I know it's there now. So it's a little different. After that one first real experience, everything else, you're just kind of like, well, it's there. It's as real as that tree in your backyard, Right. So that's kind of how it was for me. But that's a great question, man. That's a great question.
I find with spirits in particular, or anything, that you can't see, I ask, like, is it coming from me or to me? And it sounds like such a simple question, but when you ask yourself that and you get right to the root, it's pretty telling. When it comes to the immune system, yeah.
Now here's Liv's question. Jillian, do you think we should open the channels for communication with interdimensional beings? Or should we just wait for them to contact us?
Well, it depends on who you are, why you're doing it. You know, your fear level. I open those channels. Like right now, working with Tessa, doing a whole program on contact, like within, you know, those protocols and those modalities. But yeah, it really just depends on who you are. You know, if you feel like you would like to do that, open those channels, but you feel, you know, fear about certain things or resistance, I would say don't do it. Like, educate yourself, get some education about what you're dealing with or what you could potentially be dealing with, and then go from there. Because you could be going to contact ETs and you could be letting in who knows what, right? Because
and on the fact that we don't actually really know sometimes, but I mean, one thing we do know is, you know, there is, you know, I believe in good and bad, you know,
right.
And I'm pretty sure that's something that crosses all dimensions. So
Yeah.
you may be dealing with, you know, a jerk. You know what I mean? You don't know. I mean,
yeah. And I have, you know, I've woken up with shadow figures, and you know, when this stuff first opened up for me, and I didn't know what it, you know, didn't know what I was doing, didn't know how to close anything. There were many times I would wake up, there'd be like a shadow figure in my doorway. There was one time, there was one on my legs. I tried to fist fight it. Like, you don't know.
So
you
I
don't
mean,
know what you're doing.
Man, the whole shadow figure thing, that's a whole new something that really I find interesting. I've never had that experience, but a really close friend of mine has a terrifying shadow figure story that I've got to get him on the show sometime to tell this story, because it is, oh gosh, just when he tells me.
Like, is it ongoing?
No, it was a one-time thing that happened, but it was so man, it was just terrifying. I feel bad for him. I'm so glad I wasn't there.
Right?
I mean,
yeah, I've heard some really scary stories.
Well, normally a lot of times when people, you know, tell the shadow figure stories, they're usually like in and out, peeping around a corner, boom, you know, you see stuff like that a lot of times.
Right.
Well, I don't want to go too deep in this, because I do plan on getting him on this show to tell this story.
Yeah.
But his was much more involved. I mean, this thing literally came down the hallway to him. And let's just say it came down the hallway and screamed. One of the most just imagine in the middle of the night minding your own business, and a shadow figure walks down the hallway and screams at you.
See, I can handle this stuff, but stuff like that, no way. That
would have got me. And man, I was like, and hear him tell the story. It was, and you know, he's actually somebody, he's a childhood friend that I've known my entire life. And I remember the day he told me, the next day telling me about this. And now, and we were kids, and now as adults, he still tells the story. It was his experience, and it was
will be with him forever. Like, did it scream in his face? Like, what was it doing? Was it running down the hall and screaming? Like,
it actually didn't run. It walked kind of slowly down the hall, and just came right. He was in the living room of his house and sitting in a chair there, sitting up late, and it just walked down the hallway, and he saw it just coming down the hallway, and it came right up to him and screamed.
Oh man.
So I mean, it doesn't get any, I don't know what that, I mean, but yeah, woo.
Yeah, I know. Like, I've had things manifest. I had a spirit once manifest in front of my face, walk up to me, touch my arm, step back, and dissipate. But if I had something scream at me,
there's something about that. I don't know what it is.
Oh, like.
But like I said, the normal shadow figure, you see it where people are peeping out behind things, and you see them peeking out and popping in, which that's creepy too, and I've even had my own guess. Like, I saw this the other day. You know, sometimes you got to be careful. You don't know what you can believe on TikTok because there's a lot of garbage on there. There's so much garbage on TikTok, but
I don't watch it, but
this,
I know
this
you do. Like and the stuff that you sent me is pretty valid, so I trust
so
you.
but this was this guy posted one of his hunter trail cams, and I always find these interesting. I love it when I see stuff.
Trail cams, yeah.
And it was almost like it was one of the most coolest things. It was one of the like a spirit that he picked up, and I don't know what I can't explain it. You know,
like, was it could you see like an apparition?
It was like an apparition that you could see. And
really?
It was really hard for me to write off and explain. A lot of stuff I can right off the bat. I'm like, okay, that I could do this way or I could do that. So I can't really take that, you know. But this was really hard, and it looks so good too, and it makes you wonder: are we just getting glimpses of another dimension, of another reality that's going on, and we're just picking up glimpses of it? And maybe is that what's going on also with shadow figures or something like, because you know, we can only see what our senses allow us to see.
And that's very low.
Exactly. Yeah, it's horrible. You know, our senses are garbage, folks. Really, it is.
Oh, for sure. You can see, like, what is it, 2%, or I don't know. I think it's something like 2% of the whatever.
So I think maybe every now and then something gets a glimpse through. I don't know, but I have been rambling on this, and we are getting close to crunch time. Let me ask you this, Jill. I mean, is with the viewers, is there any place like where people can learn more about you? Maybe, you know I follow you on Instagram, so you know I see your cool videos and stuff where you do your investigations and you post that. But what about the others? Where can they follow you?
I have a group, CE5 New Brunswick. But like I was saying, I'm gonna start doing stuff with Tessa, like with this, developing my own system. When that gets going, I mean, there for now, just Facebook, preferably Instagram. So it's JMaxNormal _ CE5 New Brunswick. It's a long name, but.
Gotcha. So they can follow you there. And you know, I know you share some of your videos and stuff there and stuff. And you got the famous Skinny Bob. We see Skinny Bob all the time. So you can see Skinny Bob in the background, ladies and gentlemen.
I had him there for a week. I just put him back up today. Yeah, it's creepy.
Creepy. That is creepy. Skinny Bob is, but hey, I don't know, man. I'm not so much scared. Like, that doesn't freak me out.
I think it's just the stare, and I have him in the living room, so it's a bad, you know.
Actual people. I mean, people scare. You know, human beings freak me out.
Oh, me too. Way more.
And we do. First, I want to. Lisa, she says, I see one with red glowing eyes. That sounds terrifying, Lisa. The shadow figure, back on the shadow figure, that was something that she included in the chat. And I think that's kind of what my buddy saw too. I think it had red. I'll tell you, I'm going to get him on here, and I'm going to have him share that story. But we do have the LeBron James of questions here, the Michael Jordan of questions, Miss Live Light, and she's got one more for Jillian. A final message for the Tessa community to raise our vibrations.
Follow your excitement. You know, if you have a passion, like with me, it's the paranormal and ETs, jump on it. Like, do it. Don't waste your life doing mundane things. You don't want to have a mundane life. Like, I couldn't even imagine not doing this stuff. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. You know, I'm with that 100%. Is, you know, guys, you know, we don't know what our expiration date is, so don't hesitate. You know, do that thing that you've always wanted to do. Find that thing that you find interesting and go consume it and do it. You know, do it now. Don't wait till you retire. You know,
Right.
no, do it now, right now. Do it. Just do it.
100%.
So that is great advice. And that is raising my vibrations. I'm telling you, I can feel it, but a great question, Live Light. Hey, thank you, $6 Million Man. Thank you, Liv. Thank you guys so much for your questions. And thank you, Jillian Leonard, for coming on the Beyond the Tinfoil Hat. You have been a fantastic guest. And
You're welcome.
having you part of the Tessa family and our interesting Tessa social chats with Ryan and Chris. So we look forward
thank you for having me. It's been great.
All right. Well, we'll definitely have you back on here. Thank you so much, Jill. And we will talk to you soon.
Perfect. Bye.
All right, guys. Hey, man, you guys were great. Okay. Seriously, Liv, 6 million, Lisa. Hey, you guys were great. Thank you so much for popping in questions, keeping it interesting, keeping the show flowing. Hey, it makes my job easier. Makes my job easier. Guys, we'll definitely be back next Tuesday. We've got multiple guests on, so it'll be more than one. I think 2 or 3 people. We've got a paranormal investigators will be on, so we'll have some interesting stuff to talk about there. So you guys definitely tune in, 7 p.m. Eastern next Tuesday. If you guys have not done so, head over to theexperiencersupport.org and read some of those articles, man. We got some good stuff. Check it out. And if you've got any experiences you would like to share with Ryan, he is the guy to talk to, so definitely check that out. Head over to Patreon, show us some love and Heed the World on patreon.com, and that gets you access to some interesting articles. If you guys have not done so, do this. Like, share, tell your friends, tell your cousins, tell your mama, tell your sisters, tell your neighbors. Tell them about Beyond the Tinfoil Hat, okay? Tell them to like, subscribe. Check it out. They'll love it, I promise. And they get to hear me babble at the end of the show like I'm doing right now. And if you're into that kind of stuff, you can give your boy a follow at Super Magic Boy on Instagram and Danny Whitson Magic and Comedy on Facebook. And then I'm on TikTok too. I think it's is it Danny Whitson Magic Comedy on TikTok? I think so too. But anyways, be sure to check those things out. We got some cool stuff happening in my world. And I tell you what, guys, this has been fun. And like always, we are broadcasting live from the E-United Public Radio Network and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network on 105.3 FM on the Gulf Coast and 107.7 New Orleans. And I tell you what, paranormal junkies, keep the paranormal normal, and I will see you guys next Tuesday. All right, that does it for this episode of Beyond the Tinfoil Hat. A big shout out for tonight's awesome guest, and a bigger shout out for everyone who tuned in. And if you haven't done so yet, be sure to subscribe to us on YouTube or wherever it is you listen to your podcasts. And like always, be sure to stay curious, heed the world, and keep the paranormal normal. I'm your host, Danny Whitson, and this has been Beyond the Tinfoil Hat.